Hi, I'm Mariana. How are you?
Good, lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. You have a beautiful home. I'm loving this wallpaper and this texture.
But I have to confess, I am actually in a hotel, but I agree with you. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, yes. So the show is centered around this movie, The Little Death. How did you guys come up with that, the idea of the movie, and what elements did the movie need to further what you're trying to explore in the show?
Good question. I think we were really inspired by like the difference between the American and the British and the French attitude to Me Too. Um, because they were kind of different. And I remember, I think it was Catherine Deneuve, this famous French actress, when Me Too happened, wrote a letter kind of saying, this is going to be the death of sex and the death of flirting and everything's going to be policed and the human race is going to end effectively. Um, and so we put in this French character, Pierre, and obviously a little death is the French term for orgasm.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a little satire on the French approach, which didn't quite align with what America was, the movement that America, and in some senses Britain, but not fully, was undergoing.
Yes. So you co-created, co-wrote, and co-starred with Steve. When you were acting the scenes out that you guys write, did you start to make changes to what you wrote because you felt that kind of translated differently when you were actually doing it at all?
I like to I grew up like in the theater and I like sticking to the script because you've agonized and spent months and years just crafting this dialogue. So I always prefer it when actors stick to what's on the page. And for most of the time, we didn't really need to change anything because you were acting as we were writing, we would almost rehearse and say the lines, and comedy often has a certain rhythm to it, so you know if it's landing or if it's not. So when it came to shoot, we were happy to shoot what was on the page, but obviously he's a great improviser, so things would come up on the day that he would throw in or I would throw in, and you get a little sprinkle of improvisation.
Yes. How did that relationship with Steve start, that you decided to create the show, then you decided to write the show together, and kind of then you decide to star in it together? How did that start and how did it keep evolving?
I mean, I was always a huge Partridge fan, especially when I was at university. It was like the comedy staple, quality show that we all loved. And then I did two films with him that Michael Winterbottom directed. And the last film we did was called Greed, where Steve played a sort of fast fashion mogul and I was his assistant. And we shot that in Greece. So we had a lot of dinners and lunches and in between takes, just chatting. And Me Too had just happened. And so we were discussing it and debating it. And obviously, he and I had very, very different experiences, being in comedy, making shows, being a man, being a woman, being in England, being in Hollywood. And we would talk, and we'd also argue, and we'd ask questions like, has it gone too far? Has it gone far enough? But we'd also make each other laugh. And we thought, well, maybe there was a way that we could wrangle all of this into a comedy that people could be entertained and maybe even have it as a thought-provoking piece of work.
Yes. We see in episode 2 that Bobby is a bit hypocritical. Like, she's come in to be kind of this feminist voice, as they were calling it, and to very much be like the person representing the Me Too movement. But we see her kind of wanting this NBC coordinator to get out her way. Why do you think that is for Bobby?
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you pointed that out. I think it was really important for me that I mean, it would just be a very tedious show if, like, women, the female characters rallied and the men were the villains, and actually life is messier and grayer. And so even anyone with noble ambitions, whether they feel they're furthering the cause of their gender or their race or their class, in the practicality of life will come up against contradiction, and so she does, and she has all the goodwill in the world, and she's got all this sort of fire in her belly, but this person, I think the episode you're talking about is when an intimacy supervisor comes along and ruins her take,
Mhm.
and so she is confronted with almost to us, because we all have self-interests, and not all of our decisions or choices or our behaviors will be in the greater good. They will be for our own self-interest, especially when you're doing something like movie making, you know, in Hollywood.
Yes. Do you think that's why she kind of gives that her version of the brutal truth to the actor? Like, you cannot be in this business because, in her point of view, he doesn't really have what it takes to do what the director needs to be done, thinks needs to be done.
What I liked about writing that scene was it was kind of this power, the status of the characters is constantly changing.
Mhm.
Um, there's no world in which a body stand-in would march into a male director's trailer and give feedback. But I think it's something that women, especially in positions of power, are confronted with. People kind of congratulating them or even giving them feedback when it's just not their place to do so. And so it was just kind of the pendulum swinging in different directions, and she has to, you know, I had a big mouthful of salad and he's interrupting her lunch just to plug his own play, and that felt quite real, and just so the show, you know, just when you think you're kind of swinging in one direction, then it kind of tries to kind of smack you back in the face with some other wry observation.
Yes. After playing a director and writing a director, do you have a different point of view or perspective on directors as an actor?
Um, I I have I have a huge respect for directors. I'm about to direct. I've written a feature film that I'm going to direct, with Andrea Riseborough and Melanie Linsky attached. And yeah, I'm gearing up for prepping that, and I'm always just in awe of just the intensity that a director has in containing, you know, in fulfilling their vision, and all the different facets of what filmmaking entails, especially when you're a mother and you have children and you're doing that kind of endless dance. And so that was, yeah, it was definitely good to put that into the writing of how much Bobby has on her plate.
Yeah. With some of the scenes with Bobby and her family, were those kind of inspired by real life in a way, for kind of coaching them from different instances?
Yeah, I think there's like a sort of toilet jokes, and yeah, there's one scene, I don't think you've seen it yet, where I remember I got a call. I think I was on a set, and my kid's teacher was like, "Your kid has used his teeth." And I was like, "Well, he's bit someone," but it was kind of it's very progressive preschool in Hollywood. It was, they didn't want to use that word, bit. They were, yeah, he's used his teeth on a friend's face. Um, it was like a cloak to this, and yeah, that's in, you know, yes, a lot has been taken from real life, I have to confess.
Yes. So we see a lot of cameos in the show, and some actors are playing themselves, and some are playing other characters. How did you guys kind of decide who would be themselves and who would be a different character?
I've never really thought about that. We just asked everyone we knew to be in our show, and Paul Rudd was shooting, I think, Spider-Man or Ant-Man.
Mhm.
He was shooting Ant-Man, so he just was Paul Rudd. And then Lark, we thought Sienna Miller would be great, and we asked her. Wanda was Jean always, and we were just very lucky in the people that we dreamt up were willing to come and play with us.
Awesome. Yeah, it's fun to see the random cameos and see Oh, are they about to say that they're themselves or they're a different person? I really enjoyed it. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and congrats on the show premiering over here on the States. And I can't wait to talk to you about future projects.
Thanks, Ariana. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it and talk to me. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.